Senator Murkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I feel a little bit like a fish out of water here in the Help Committee talking about animal health and the Center for Veterinary Medicine. We don't have a vet school in Alaska. We wish we had one. But I do have an issue that I would like to raise. I think many on this committee have actually heard me raise the issue of genetically engineered salmon, whether in the Help Committee or certainly on the Appropriations Committee. But as I look to what the CVM does, protect human and animal health by ensuring the safety and effectiveness of animal drugs, and then review new animal drugs, it really does cause me to once again raise an issue that I feel very, very strongly about, and I think it's fair to say most Alaskans share the concern that we have our FDA that has approved what I have called Frankenfish, this genetically engineered salmon, but they have approved it through the new animal drug pathway. Now, there were millions of Americans who wrote in to oppose this approval, wrote into the FDA, but effectively what we're talking about is the first ever genetically engineered species of animal that is approved for human consumption, and it was approved through the animal drug route, which just doesn't make sense to me. I actually left my office and I had to move my way through about a dozen Alaskans who were back to visit me. They're the Alaska longliners. They fish for a living. They're part of a very important industry. The seafood industry in Alaska creates about $14.6 billion in economic output, nearly 112,000 jobs nationally. In Alaska, more than 63,000 direct jobs. Over $4.6 billion comes from the seafood industry. The ranking member here knows full well the value of a strong fisheries. But when I came to say that I was going to be speaking on the fact that you have the first ever genetically engineered species of animal approved through for human consumption, approved through an animal drug route, the fishermen said to me, they don't understand that you've got animals and you have humans. And I said, well, apparently that there is a distinction within the FDA that somehow or other thinks that you can use the animal drug pathway to sign off on again, a genetically engineered species that's designed for human consumption. So you can tell I've got a real issue, a real problem with this. I have insisted, and I've spoken recently with the head of the FDA, that if in fact FDA is going to continue down what I believe is a wrong-headed approach, at a bare minimum, these species should be labeled as genetically engineered salmon, and they should further require a third-party scientific review for the approval process for this fish and for any other future fish that might go through this type of an approval process. I think most are saying that at a bare minimum, that's what they would understand to be appropriate. I've had conversations with colleagues who say, well, wait a minute, how is this issue of a GE salmon any different than a genetically engineered crop? And bringing in the broader GMO debate. And what I would remind people is that genetically engineered animals are not crops. A fish is not a piece of corn. And recognizing that what we're doing here, or proposing to do, is to introduce a new species into our markets, into our homes, and quite possibly, contrary to what any environmental assessment claims into our ecosystems. This is a significant issue, I believe a significant problem, and it's one, Mr. Chairman, that I will continue to raise. I appreciate the opportunity to raise it in the context with Mr. Solomon here today as we're talking about reauthorization of FDA animal drug user fees. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Murkowski.